Whether you're a die-hard fan or just looking for a good laugh, this monthly series promises to deliver the unexpected with a dash of humor. Tune in as Gene and BT dissect the what-the-fuck moments that makes pro wrestling the exciting spectacles they are. It's time to let loose and embrace the madness with the WTF News Desk, where Gene and BT bring you the 10 strangest and most fun topics each month, leaving you entertained, amused, and eagerly awaiting the next episode.
All right, we're live at 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where it's as hot as Chinese arithmetic. Let me tell you, this is an STSPOD.club production, episode 87 of the WTF News Desk, and episode 965 of STSPOD. No, I'm BT. That guy over there, he's Gene. There's no truth to the rumor that he's starting a true crime podcast. Good God, there's so many.
No, and as fat as I am, I'm not doing a junk food one either.
There we go. He's from Gadsden, Alabama, home of the G League. It's a local adult men's basketball league. You got to be 18 plus, organized by Gadsden's Parks and Recs. You can call them at 256-549-4680 if you want to be part of the league there. Gene, I figure you might want to jump in there.
That sounds legit.
He is the wrestling's know-it-all, my new partner in crime, my best friend, well, most of the time. He's Gene Jackson, and we together, we are too sweet to be sour of podcasting. How the hell are you, Gene?
I'm good, man. I feel like I need to go commit some crimes. I'm your partner in crime. Doug posted on Facebook that I'm his and Tommy's partner in crime when they wished me happy birthday. So I got to get out and start doing some of this criminal activity. Apparently, I'm slacking.
Good God, no! Don't do that. I don't have a criminal. I've only spent one night in jail. There you go. Only one night. Quick business. Our plans for this week is a light week. We have a brand new episode of Rolling Into Minfo on Saturday, and then next Saturday, Rolling Into Minfo. But since I announced I was doing a light month or light weeks, I've already had 2 podcasts reach out to me. So who the hell knows? Some numbers from the past. Gene, I know you're new here. This is your 3rd show. I don't only give the high numbers. I'll give the low ones too. Rumble was the lowest since February. Our highest audio plays, though, since January. And then you have to go all the way back to October of last year to get numbers that high. YouTube was 3% away from breaking our all-time monthly record came in as number 2 overall in the 7+ years. God, that's crazy. 26% ahead of last year overall, 8% less than last year's June. The number 3 in June, although it was released in May, was Steve Crawford. That Steve Crawford equals numbers. That's 947. WTF 957 was number 2. And the number 1 show, which is your favorite show to be on, 5-minute time limit. It's episode 953. That's right. That's Gene's favorite show.
I'd rather be on a record podcast.
I need to have that text message you sent me when I asked you the last time to be on it. I have to get up and I have to walk into that room and turn on the... I was like, okay.
No, my exact quote is I spend 10 to 15 minutes to prep to talk for a minute and a half.
There we go.
5 minutes, my ass.
Gene, my friend, we always start with, and we call it now, there's something strange in the neighborhood. It's all the weird matches. And we got almost every month, we go all the way to DDT in Japan. And Gene, since you joined the ranks, we just been rolling into money. We get to, I'll talk about this in a little bit. We have, wait.
Can I comment on the numbers real quick before you?
Yeah.
All those numbers you read off sounded very impressive for a sinking ship.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
for this thing to have hit the iceberg and be on its way down, you're still pulling some pretty big numbers. So kudos
well,
to that.
I
I'm gonna give
just
you props, man.
I'm grabbing hold. I'm just trying to hold on to this. There's no way we can be successful. There's just no way.
Well, huge thank you on my part to all the viewers out there and listeners, even you, and you know who you are, our biggest fan.
Because, bitch, you're listening. I know you are.
Damn right you are.
So we actually went out and we hired. Well, we hired. Hey, like that. That's real Southern, ain't it? We hired somebody. His name is Hiro Shibata. Around STSPOD.club studios, we call him Henry because, we're from the South and we can't say Hiro Shibata. That's just too much of a
tank, but that's.
Yeah, I call him Henry. And he has all 3 matches for us. Here he is. He's going to do it for me instead of me rattling off. Let's let him rattle off.
Iron Man, Heavy Metalweight. Title, Sanshiro Takagi versus Poison Sawada. June 30th, 2025. King of Kings, Korakuen Hall. The legendary comedic title changed hands in a chaotic brawl involving a mop, a prop skeleton, and an accidental fire extinguisher discharge. Poison Sawada. Julie tried to hypnotize Takagi mid-match, forcing him to do the worm before being slapped back to reality. At one point, both wrestlers got counted out trying to pin a wrestling dummy backstage. Takagi eventually landed a diving splash off a vending machine, pinning Julie while wearing a lucha mask. The match was another reminder that DDT's comedy titles are as unpredictable as ever. Laugh to lose handicap. Match, June 11, 2025. Ueno Park, outdoor stage, Tokyo Antonio Honda and Kazuki Hirata versus Kanon. In this comedy style match, the first wrestler to laugh would lose. Kanon attempted to stay serious while Honda performed a slapstick monologue, and Hirata danced to his entrance music on loop. Despite Kanon's stone-faced commitment, he chuckled briefly at a banana peel pratfall and was immediately rolled up for a fast pin. The entire match lasted only 43 seconds. Fans appreciated the absurd speed and the surprise loss from the usually stoic Kanon. Rainy Season Umbrella Deathmatch, June 11th, 2025. Ueno Park Outdoor Stage, Tokyo, Daisuke Sasaki and Illusion versus Uni and Kazuma Sumi. This match was held outdoors during Tokyo's rainy season, and umbrellas were the only legal weapons. Wrestlers used open umbrellas to shield attacks, trip opponents, and one even flew off the stage holding one Mary Poppins style. Sasaki used a broken umbrella frame as a choke device, adding a dangerous twist. Crowd reactions were amplified by the surprise venue and wet conditions. Sasaki and Illusion won after wrapping Sumi in a plastic poncho and pinning him with an umbrella jab to the ribs.
Hey, that might have been racist. Hey, Henry said we couldn't talk over him while he was doing this. And as you can tell, his English is not perfect, but we do appreciate it. And we also appreciate, I want you to know, tried to hire producer Smokey to be part of this and help us out with this. Yeah. But no, he was too expensive.
Can't afford him.
What was your favorite of the three here? I like Laugh to Lose.
Yeah, that would be a tough one, because what if somebody laughs before they're supposed to, and you have an unplanned finish there. So there's a lot more. It seems like it's a lot more at stake there if somebody is to mess up and laugh. So yeah, that's interesting. But kudos to Hank. I didn't want to laugh because I didn't want to dishonor him because I remember those old samurai skits on Saturday Night Live, and I don't want him to pull out the dagger and do himself in because he thinks that, we didn't enjoy it. So good job, Hank. Way to go, buddy.
I think this is the second month in a row we've had Poison Sawada Julie, and they're always she or he's trying to hypnotize somebody. So just crazy. That was a crazy matches. It's always crazy in DDT, and we think. So you call him Hank, huh? So yeah.
Well, Henry. People in like Alabama, Mississippi, people with the name Henry, Hank's a nickname for him.
Oh yeah, there you go. Just so if you're not watching this and you have joined it and listened to it on audio version, guys, we have a lot of aids here. Some visual aids, not
speak for yourself.
I mean, you can tell we don't have the aids.
Pass that test.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, if you're not watching the video, you don't see my awesome shirt of the month. Every month I wear an interesting shirt on this.
What was it? I didn't see it. Tell me.
It's the Last Real Champion John Cena shirt.
There he is. There he goes. I love John Cena. I was going to say something. Oh, by the way, Gene, I might be the only man that that took an AIDS test, and as I was taking it, I was trying to hit on. No, okay, I was hitting on the nurse. So, but I did not get her number. I was told if I did get her number, I would have been a legend. I would have been a fucking legend, getting an AIDS test and getting her number. But no, we got a lot of stuff going on, and I wanted to actually use pictures. At number 9, that was number 10. At number 9 is what the fuck, Dave? As we go to the Dave Meltzer things, I know you have a different opinion of Dave Meltzer mainly than I do. My opinion or my view has changed a lot, probably in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, maybe since the AEW came on. But let's look at now. This one's not. Look, I don't even know what I'm doing here. There we go. So Cena talked about claiming plans had changed and everything. Who is Dave talking about dipshits and fraud podcasters? Is this about Bischoff and the way Bischoff gives him hell all the time and everything? Who's a fraud podcaster?
If I had to guess, that's usually, since Bruce isn't around, it's probably got to be Bischoff or somebody like that. Maybe Cornette has said something like that. I don't know, but I don't listen to all the podcasts that I used to, so I'm not really in the loop on that. But usually Bischoff talks the loudest and the proudest, and Meltzer, especially Rax if it's anything, critical of AEW, that's for sure.
That's what gets me here. It's almost like Dave puts shit up here to start shit. And I'm just like, you don't have to put anything for anyone to go after you, Dave.
Well, it puts him in the algorithm, and then he's got all his blind followers who suck upon his nuts no matter what he says that are going to share and retweet everything he says. And so, yeah, he puts stuff like up there, and they take the bait, and oh, Dave, oh, we love you. You're right. Fraud podcasters. I'm going to post that 9 times a day, every day, Dave. It's so cool because I've never had an original thought myself, so I'll just steal your line.
I feel like that's what happened there, and we'll be talking about that here in a little bit. About we have a new feature. The other things that happened, what the fuck, Dave? I actually put Wade Keller in here. So Wade had a story which I found hilarious, where Karrion Kross, the reason he's not getting his push. Now, Gene, I'm just going by what Wade Keller said. Is because he don't like to do back bumps.
I've seen some Karrion Kross matches. It's never stood out to me that he doesn't take back bumps. Is that true? Now I got to go back and watch some more of his matches.
No, you just go ahead and watch his matches. He does like to take a back bump. So I don't know. That gave me a what the fuck Wade, but then I just blamed Dave for it because Wade was Dave's follower. He was his sensei. Dave was Wade's sensei when he first started. By the way, Wade gave free colored pictures with his torch when he first started out.
Do people fillet Wade the way they do Dave?
I don't know. I don't see it that way. I don't see it online at all.
Okay. I'm just curious.
I think Wade is smarter and stays off Twitter. I really think that's probably the way to do it. I didn't actually pull the tweet up, but there's been a controversy going on. We talked a little bit about it last month in the sense that Dave just came up with a number, a percentage or a number, that there was X amount of people watching AEW on Max. He just, all of a sudden, he says, oh, it's doing this. Then we had an official from Max that actually was doing a press conference, and he just shot the number to hell, said it was like, instead of, it was like 20% watching. If you go to Max, okay, here's how Max works. It will put up the top shows that are up there. Mm-hmm. It will also pop it, the main thing, the screen will pop up something for you to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Never have I seen AEW. I have to search for it if I want to watch it.
Yeah.
And so there's no way these numbers. Then with the real number coming out, then Dave says, well, the real number came out, but no one really knows. So my question.
Well, he was okay with reporting this arbitrary number he made up. But then when somebody from Max has a report, because how would that guy know? How would somebody from Max know what people watch on Max over Dave? Now it's like, well, nobody really knows.
I don't know. It didn't make any sense. It made me say, what the fuck? And it also, as I just said earlier, Dave, the best advice I would give you is to stay off X. There's so many people that go after him, and he cannot stop himself. He's like some other people I know that just can't stop themselves. And then there's only like one or two people that even support Dave on Twitter, and then they're jerking off at everything he says. So it's real crazy. Any other comments about that real number?
I mean, that's about where I would assume it is. And that's not a knock. That's not anything for anybody to cry about and get mad and want to fight about. I mean, I don't really know the amount of subscribers that Max has compared to something like Netflix or something, but I figure for them to have just been put on there and really not featured on there, that's probably pretty respectable. Because I'm like you, the couple of times I've ever went on there with the intention of trying to see something, I had to dig around and find it. The first time I went looking, I'm like, maybe it isn't on here yet. And I finally searched and found it, but it didn't pop up. It didn't suggest it, anything like that. So
never does. It's so weird that everyone makes a big deal about AEW and you can't find it. So, new category, number 8. We wanted to call it goof tweet or something like that, but I came up with something new. It's, I might not know it all, but I know more than you. That is number 8. I might not know it all, but I know more than you. And here is the tweet. Right here. Now, Gene, I want you to know I'm not a bully, okay? So if someone puts something up on X, and I do, Dave's a what is he? A personal, a public figure. So
yeah,
I can say what I want. This person right here, I'm not going to say if he's a girl or if he's a guy. If he's
who
a girl,
could really?
He's a guy. Couldn't really say. All right. This is just one of those tweets, and every month we're going to bring one of them up. And as you can tell, if you're watching the screen, I have the person's name actually blurred out, so you can't tell who said this. And it made me just say, what the fuck? So the tweet reads, biggest fuck up in the history of WWE, letting the absolute priceless Swerve get away. Now, Gene, can you think of any more fuck ups in the history of WWE that is just as scandalous as them not signing a contract with Swerve?
Let's be honest. There have been some colossal fuck ups in the history of WWE. I mean, whether you want to go with public or privately or any measurement you want to go with, I don't think not signing Swerve, and I'm a Swerve fan. I like Swerve Strickland, but not signing him isn't even in the top 100 biggest
500.
fuck ups of that they've ever done. I mean, good lord. But you know,
Here's
hey, this person he knows more than me, so who am I to say?
well, I've been told he's an expert. That's what I've been told.
Well, it's
But
all his years and years of studying and reading
reading
what Meltzer
Observer,
has to say, and you know, I wouldn't dare question his authority.
and not only this person, this kind of the AEW crowd or the people that do this, and it's just weird to me that they think, especially Swerve. Now I'm a Swerve fan, but if you look at the way WWE used him, he was NXT, he was mid card at the most, and that's kind of where he belonged. Even though I like him, that's kind of, he didn't belong in the main events. Now, coming up this Saturday, greatest tag team match of all time's happening. I'm going to tell you, I will be watching that, Gene. I'm not even kidding about it.
Well, let me know how it goes.
I'm excited about that match, but will it be the greatest tag team match of all time? And where does Swerve in wrestling history, and we've talked about him before, making a big deal, getting on the microphone and cussing out Booker T at the end. Where does he line up as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time? It don't make any sense just because he has 5-star matches on AEW.
And not to turn this into another big discussion, but we kind of talked about this last month. My problem with AEW is, people saying that's going to be the greatest tag team match of all time. It's subjective. Nobody can ever win that argument. If this person that you got the tweet on the screen thinks it's the greatest match of all time, then great. If Meltzer thinks that, great. But if someone else thinks the greatest tag team match of all time is the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express, well, you can't argue who's right because it's all subjective. But if you feel like Swerve in the mid card in WWE is where he belongs, so be it. And it's other people's right to feel he deserves to be in the main event. However, AEW didn't do anything to build him to being the champion. And like, they just brought him in as like, here's Swerve. Y'all know him, right? Of course you do. He's a champ. Like, you've got to build these guys. You can't bring them in off their indie reputation or their mid-card WWE reputation and just throw them out there in the spot that you want them to be in. You've got to build them up to make it believable for them to be where they're at, or else people are just gonna be like, who the hell is this guy? I mean, what why is he all of a sudden, and it makes AEW look low rent because it's like, well, that guy, if you're a fan, if you're not a know-it-all, or if you haven't studied the Observer since you were 8 years old or whatever, then if you're just looking at this through a fan's mentality, you look at it as like, all right, that guy wasn't good enough to get out of NXT in the mid-card in WWE. He's walked right into AEW and he's owning this shit. Well, then that just makes AEW look less than WWE.
It does. It wouldn't have back in the day, because back in the day, you had everything separated. You had all the territories. You could take a opening card guy, and if he had the talent, he could be pushed, to main event. Mid-South's a perfect example with Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express being mid-card. But you can't do that now. You're right. You look at him and you think to yourself, I'm really a fan of his. I'm not sure. He has really good matches, but is that the biggest fuck up to WWE? None of that made any sense to me,
No.
so that was the one I pulled. Next month, I may just let you pull I might know it all. I might not know it all, but I know more than you. That's number 8. And number 7, we started this last month. It's the retro, because guess what? You have the retro podcast. Retro WTF moment in wrestling. And you brought this story, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go over.
All right. So the title of the story is The Night a Bear Wrestled a Man and Won in the Courts. In June 1983, Grizzly Smith, the real-life father of Jake the Snake Roberts and molester of many young women, was involved in a lawsuit, not involving what you would assume that it would be involving. It's actually involving wrestling a bear.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, Smith
Wrestled
was
a
part
bear.
of a
No.
bizarre traveling attraction where wrestlers would wrestle a tamed bear named Samson in exhibition matches. These man versus bear events were popular novelty acts in the 60s through the early 80s. The bears usually would have their teeth and claws dulled, and they would wear a muzzle. But in one match earlier that year, Samson reportedly bit a wrestler on the butt, causing real injury. The lawsuit came to a head in June 1983 with the injured wrestler, an independent journeyman whose name was often unreported, but turned out to be Grizzly Smith, who handled the Bears' bookings, was the one who got sued. We don't know who the wrestler was that got bit in the butt, but Grizzly Smith, who handled the Bears' bookings, the court ruled that the promotion and Smith were liable, citing that the wrestling bear, even a trained one, was inherently dangerous and the proper safety measures were not adequate taken by Grizzly Smith and the promotion. So they went to court about it, and that incident helped to phase out bear wrestling in the U.S. There's all kinds of amazing stories. Tracy Smothers, of course, wrestled the bear 3 different times, as he describes in his book, and many wrestlers over the years wrestled bears, and that was one of the lawsuits that helped phase it out. Now, granted, like, Tracy was wrestling the bear in like 88, so it wasn't quick, but eventually they decided, you know what? Maybe putting a live grizzly bear in a ring with people
is not
the best idea.
What's so ironic is because you say Grizzly Smith, like Grizzly Smith was in charge of the bear.
Yeah, how ironic, right?
That is kind of weird. By the way, that was a retro WTF, and it's brought to you by...
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
All right, now number 6. Yeah. How about that, Gene? How about that? That commercial's sweet. Now, did Smokey do that?
Smokey put that together with some help from Richard Mulliken and a new friend of mine named Jake Hamar, Hamar. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But he's involved with the channel now. You know, he produces Tony Richards' Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel, and he put that together. So
very good, very good. Well, number 6, let's watch this video real quick. And I put this on here because I just want to hear your response and what your thoughts on doing an angle like this.
Sit in the chair.
I guess I should be telling people that's not watching the video. We have a wrestler shaving a child. I mean, this kid looks like he's like 7 or 8 years old, Gene. All right, your thoughts.
And that was a small child shouting, "You asshole," as his head was shaved in front of an audience of people.
So if you didn't see the video and you didn't hear me, I'm not sure I unmuted, but it is a wrestler, and I'm not even going to put the wrestler over. He was, they did an angle where the kid's father was handcuffed to the ring, and then they shaved the kid's head. What's your thoughts on putting a kid like that in a spot like that?
I mean, I don't like it. I'm not going to lead the charge of, you know, having that guy strung up in the town square over it, but it's distasteful. I don't like. Do you any idea where that was? Where that took place?
I didn't even
just curious.
Take a note of that.
But yeah, I mean, I if you asked me if I had a hand in the booking or the booker of the show is like, what do you think of this, Gene? I'd be like, well, that's not. But it'll be something the kid will talk about for years. The time he got his head shaved in a wrestling ring. about the third time he's coming out of rehab, he'll tell that story.
One of my
Moderately
favorite
fun.
angles is the one with Sandman and his kid. And I thought about that, how much I enjoyed that. But this just seemed really, I don't know. It just was odd to watch a grown ass man jumping a kid and shaving his head.
Speaking of the Sandman's kid, did I tell you about?
Yeah.
That was so crazy. I mean, little Tyler Fullington towered over me and Tommy Rich. And when he told us who he was, it's like,
damn.
What? Oh my God. He could have chokeslammed both of us.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we're not going to forget this month. We're going to have halftime.
Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live! This Saturday, July 12th, it's Luchador Wrestling Night with the Arkansas Travelers in Little Rock, featuring former WWE United States Champion Kalisto. Next Thursday and Friday, July 17th and 18th, Memphis Wrestling Kids Camp returns. Register now before it's too late. Next Sunday, July 20th, don't miss Gilbert. Friday, August 8th, Memphis Wrestling returns to New Albany, Mississippi for Battle on the Ball Field, benefiting Ingomar Baseball. Sunday, August 10th, Carlito is coming to Memphis Wrestling. Plus, the return of Buff Bagwell. Friday, August 22nd, meet WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi at the Tupelo Super Show, benefiting St. Jude. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Wrestling fans, are you ready? Every Friday night in Osceola, Arkansas, MCW, the legacy continues. Live, hard-hitting, family-friendly wrestling action every Friday night at the MCW Arena, located at 1098 West Kaiser. Doors open at 6:30 and the action starts at 8 p.m. sharp. Get ready for Steel Justice. MCW is back in Mark Tree this Saturday night with a vengeance. Every match will take place inside a steel cage. The anticipation is building as we announce the return of Sean Hoodrich. The Snake's coming back. CJ Money will be there. DJ Cash, the Enforcer Galen Ray, and many, many more. Don't miss the action-packed night of wrestling, July 12th, this Saturday. Doors open at 5 p.m. Bell time 6 p.m. 802 Liberty Street, Mark Tree, Arkansas. Be there! All right, it's time for halftime. Oh boy, that breaks off really quick there. So halftime today, we tried to do this last time and I completely forgot it. The cat's already out of the bag, but I want to talk about it a little bit. You're becoming common person to say Gene Jackson did my book, which is awesome. You did Eddie Gilbert book and have done some podcast appearances because of that. And got an episode, if you're listening to this tonight, Thursday night, or tomorrow, an episode where Doug talks about Dark Side of the Ring and the book, putting it together. I'm excited about that episode, but I want to tell you something before I ask you the question I'm going to ask you. When you said Doug, in my mind, I thought you did a podcast with J.D. McKay. And I have no idea why I thought that, but that's what I thought. So you got a new project you're working on right now. Whose book are you working on?
So now I am currently working with Wolfie D on his book. Him and the publisher that I work with started this earlier in the year, around the same time me and Doug was working on Eddie's book, and they did a bunch of interviews and a lot of prep work. But then when it come down to it, they didn't have anybody to actually put it all together into book form. And so they reached out to me, and I was more than happy to do it. And so I think we are up to chapter like 14, 15, something like that. We're rolling right along. Wolfie's great, man. Like we sit down, looks like we are on here right now on StreamYard, and we'll talk for an hour and a half about, we're just kind of going through the timeline of his life in the book. And then I'll sit down and write a chapter, and then I kick it over to him. He reads through it, and he'll add stuff or take stuff away, or hey, this doesn't sound quite like how I would say it, or whatever. But we're tag teaming this thing, and we're rolling right along. So we're about 14 chapters in of what'll probably be about a 25 chapter book, maybe a couple more than that. But I'm enjoying. I've always been a fan of Wolfie's and followed his career from day one. And we just recently recapped it on the USWA podcast, PG-13's ascension in their first year as a tag team in the USWA. And so, now getting to be friends with Wolfie and getting to, hear about his life, man. He's got a very interesting story beyond wrestling, from his beginnings up till, past the wrestling. So it's a really great book. I don't think you really have to be a Memphis wrestling fan or a TNA wrestling fan or anything to find it interesting, because, man, Wolfie's got a very unique story. So I hope a lot of people check it out once it comes out.
He's one of those guys in the Memphis area that I've never met in person, which is weird, him being there during the whole time that I was a fan. But they kind of came after me. But I did go to shows, after that. I just never came across him. I have not met him at a con or anything like that. But I can message him if I have any question about his career or anybody that he worked or whatever, and he doesn't know me, and he will get back to me and say, blah, blah, blah. I thank him, and he said, no problem. It's always been that, just a really good, nice, super nice guy. You mentioned something that I didn't know, and since it's been mentioned on the Retro, I was going to ask you to reveal a fact that will be in the book that no one will know. Well, it was revealed on the Retro podcast this week that Chris Champion was Cowabunga, and then when Chris Champion didn't want to be Cowabunga, didn't want to work 2 times on the shows, on those small shows in Tennessee that he worked, Wolfie D was Cowabunga, right?
Yeah. At different times, Wolfie D would don the Cowabunga outfit in his very early years, and people, the people who thought they were seeing Chris Champion, they were actually seeing a young Wolfie D, aka at the time Airwolf,
right.
in the Cowabunga outfit.
And I had mentioned on that Retro, my very first match in Columbus, Tennessee, Cowabunga was on that show, and I even got a super kick from Chris Champion one time. Fun show. By the way, check out Retro this week. It was a fun show as we reviewed. Was it 1990? We talked about the whole year.
1990, because we're about to start reviewing 1991 week by week. So we kind of, me, you, and Josh kind of blew through the entire year of 1990, went through all the cards, or at least the high spots of them. And it was a fun show. I hope people check it out.
Awesome. Y'all check out the Wolfie D book when it comes out. I'm a big fan of the Eddie Gilbert book. So that was halftime. All right, halftime, and we're up to number 5. We're going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Does that surprise you, Gene? Number 5.
I think that works out.
Is Smarks be acting crazy? They be acting crazy, Gene. I'm going to go through these real quick. Number 1, Ron Killings was released, and the fans brought him back. Do you believe that, Gene? Do you believe it?
I don't know. I mean, all I know is that he tweeted, "I'm being released," and everybody lost their mind, and all the podcasts and busted open on, XM, and everybody carried on about it and talked about it, and it was a very controversial subject. And then he pops up what was it, a week later or was it 2 weeks later? I think it was a week later. He shows up at, was it Saturday night's main event or was it? No, it was the pay-per-view. It was Night of Champions.
Right.
Whatever the hell it was. I don't know. But he shows up and to cost John Cena a match. And people act like he had returned from space. Like, oh my God, he's here. He's here. I'm like, well, the only evidence of him not being here was a freaking tweet that he sent out. So I don't know. Was it a work? Was it not? I don't know. I wish people didn't spend all their time and energy trying to, decipher whether something was real or not. Just enjoy.
That's what it is. That's what the internet is now. We have to they have to decide whether. And the thing is the power. We talked about this, about the crowds changing, where the crowds, we did this, talked about it on 5 Minute Time Limit, by the way, Gene's favorite show. We talked about the crowds changing in a sense that the crowds cheer, sing, whatever, and it don't matter whether it's a heel or a baby. And I think this is part of it, is in the same things going on with Karrion Kross. And Cross is just going right with it, saying, oh, we'll talk about that next month, but he's going right with it. The old school me says it was a fucking work. I don't know. Don't really care. I like what they done with him. I love the cutting of the hair and the new in Ron Killings' back kind of thing. Liked it. I liked the actual angle and didn't study it as much and just laughed at everybody that made a big deal about it.
I had one of my comedian friends sent me a text while I was at work, like that Tuesday, and he's like, "Hey, are you busy?" And I was like, "I can break away for a minute." He's like, "I want to talk to you." I thought he's trying to book me for a comedy show or something, so I go in the building next door and I call him like, "Hey man, what's up?" And he's like, "You think this Ron Killing shit's real?" I'm like, are you serious? I just left my station at work to come next door for you to ask me if I think the Ron Killings shit is real on WWE. And he's like, "I don't know, man. It feels like a work, but it may not be." I was like, I don't know. Who gives a fuck? It made everybody care. Ron Killings had became a guy who was known for calling things the wrong name for the last how many years now. And
right.
he was just comedy fodder, and that was fine. He's at an age where as long as they laugh or whatever, it's fine. But they made everybody care and caused an uproar. So whether it was a work or not, who cares? But it really, I don't know, it's really frustrating that almost everything in the ring has become just inconsequential. It's all trying to figure out the backstage stuff. It was, Tiffany and Charlotte really talking shit about each other. Was that supposed to happen or not supposed to happen and all that? But what, as far as the result of the match, who cares? Is how did we get there and where we're supposed to?
Yeah. We talked about that. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all but to me, like I said, everything's a work. Speaking of fans or smarks be acting crazy, we had a person accused of stalking Liv Morgan this month. Apparently I don't know if you know this, but there's tons of wrestling podcasts. There was a podcast out there that they regularly attend the WWE NXT events. And then it was posted saying that someone had been taken into custody and bags of evidence had been collected. Gene, these people were fucking crazy. They really are. I mean, you had the Sonya Deville where the guy was in the house of Sonya. And then we had another incident where Roxanne Perez, they were giving out her home address and other personal information. And I didn't want to go in full details about either one, except I think people were nuts. But what is the whole... I know we've seen this with other celebrities, but what is the deal when people just mentally ill fall in love with these celebrities and just talk about them all the time on X? You pay super big money to get their picture taken with them and all this stuff. What's your take on that stuff?
I mean, it's awful is my take on it. With be it WWE superstars or, movie stars or TV stars, musicians, whatever the case may be. Social media is great when used for its intended purpose. But I feel like with, social media giving people unprecedented exposure to people, the opportunity to interact with these people, that they can tag them in something and know that even if they don't respond, they probably saw it, or at least in their mind, they'll tell themselves that they saw it. And then these folks are tagging themselves. We're eating at this restaurant tonight. We're hanging out at this club. We're doing this. We're in this town for, whatever. These people get to feel like these fans they feel like they know them. They feel like they have a right to, intrude on their lives or whatever. And as far as this crazy, the stalking and being in their house, that's a whole nother level. That's just straight up mental illness. That's criminal. But as far as like people obsessing over them, and then, and I think we talked about it last month, like with Kevin Owens and, people getting harassed at the airport and, all that kind of thing. It's crazy, and I hate it for them. But at the same time, social media feeds into that because it gives them the opportunity to know right where they are and right when, and the interactions they have with them. And hey, I can pay $400 for a fucking cameo video, and they talk directly to me. Now they're my friend. He retweeted me. That's my good friend, Dave Meltzer.
Hey, John Cena follows me, just to let you know. The real
he can
John
see
Cena.
you.
Yeah,
you can't see him.
No, but
he can see you.
Damn it.
I don't know, man. It's sad, and you feel for especially these women that, can never completely feel safe because they never know who's waiting around the corner, or they go in their house, who could be in there waiting on them. And I don't know. It's unfortunate, but then again, it's part of the deal.
I'm not a celebrity at all, but when you put shit on the internet and you talk about it, I've turned my Facebook as just a business site. It's not something that I put personal stuff on. The main reason is that when I moved from Missouri back to Jonesboro, I put on "We moved," and that night someone broke into my house that I still had and ransacked it.
Shit.
And I've been heartbroken before, but I can't, Gene, I'm going to be honest with you. That was one of the worst feelings of my life, to go in there and know someone went through all my stuff. Just horrible, crazy fucking people in the world. Here's something else, and we've been talking about this. We talk about the internet and what they say. When Liv Morgan got injured, there was tons of people online, and we got a tweet from Rhea Ripley here. It says, PSA, don't celebrate an injury. Disgusting behavior, don't be like them. There was people laughing. There was people like, she don't know what she's doing, and stuff like that. I mean, is it called for people to make fun of somebody because they're injured? I just don't. Like I said, Smarks be acting crazy, and it seems like wrestling fans are some of the worst.
I mean, wrestling fans are some of the worst people in general, but I don't know. That's a slippery one because I don't agree with it, first and foremost. It is terrible. But at the same time, wrestling plays on the ignorance of a lot of its fan base, and it predicates itself on the whole suspension of disbelief and, she's stole, this guy's man and all this bullshit. So, are they really happy that the person got hurt, or are they celebrating that the character that's got this heat? It's a weird thing. It's not like if, some actor got injured on the set of a movie that these people are going to be tweeting, oh, I'm glad they got hurt. But in their mind, wrestlers are a different animal, and they're never sure if you have that mentality, like you said earlier, well, it's all the work. Well, fuck, they don't know if they really got hurt or not. So they think they're playing along with the story because, God forbid, nobody, even though people have dedicated their lives to being wrestling fans and being a part of a work, the worst thing they can ever happen to them, BT, is to ever get worked. You always got to be smarter than that. You always got to be 2 steps ahead of everybody. So, you got some people trying to say everything's a work. Then you got other people who are still blissfully ignorant and thinking, if I know about it, if I saw it on TV, it probably ain't real. It's probably just the character Liv Morgan got hurt. So, we'll go laugh about it. But yes, it sucks. But you're depending on these people to have a certain level of
Yeah, I
ignorance
know
to
it.
support your product and buy your shit and do all their stuff. So you can't really hold it against them.
I ask too much of a wrestling fans.
You
Smarks
certainly
be
do.
acting crazy. That is number 5 and 4 every month. We like to do wrestlers behaving badly, which is kind of exactly what's going on here. Real quick, I'm not going to show the video or anything with this, but I thought this was kind of Logan Paul made a big deal about a Logan Paul card, a sports card, a WWE card. I like to call them baseball cards. I know that's not really what they call them, but he made a big deal about it, wouldn't sign it, embarrassed the person that had it. But you know what? He was acting crazy there, but it came out that it really wasn't a real card. It was a counterfeit. So you got to give him that. And then Rikishi, we've covered this before, but he can't keep his mouth shut when it comes to what they do with Jey Uso. As soon as they took the belt off of him, he gets on and bitches and complains about it. If I was Jey, I would just I would tell my dad just to shut the fuck up and stay off the internet when it comes to stuff like that. We had this tweet, which I'm going to throw up. They were talking about Love Island USA. I guess that's one of those reality shows where everybody fucks each other. And they were talking about it. Ethan Page just said, "What's the difference in NXT?" So I guess we got a bunch of NXT. I mean, you got a bunch of young, good-looking people working at the same job. Yeah, that's probably what's happening. I couldn't confirm this one, and people are saying it's not real. I do see they spelled his name wrong, but that's not. But it said Ric Flair keeps coming into their restaurant and shitting himself. Said, man has shit himself like 6 times this year, drunk as fuck at bars and other restaurants. He gets thrown out of Water Street places all the time. Now, it's just not one place. This is in Tampa. No, anybody in the service industry, it says anybody in the service industry has to deal with this shit too. He was wanting to know if anyone else is having to deal with shit like, Ric Flair shit.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you that they said it? Someone said it wasn't true, and that they declined that Flair said it wasn't true. But would it surprise you if he?
No, not with all the health problems he had in the past and drinking himself, under the table. Yeah, I shit myself
today. Rick, I'm sorry. We're making fun of you. He shit himself. Speaking of Ron Killings earlier, 3 quick things that wrestlers are behaving badly. Ron Killings went out and said he had an OnlyFans, but after it was a joke and he didn't understand what an OnlyFans was. Cora J, by the way, has an OnlyFans, and I did get a chance. No, I didn't look at it. One of my favorite, by the way. And then Thunder Rosa, she said if she shows her titties, she might get over more. So my question to you, Gene, if she shows her titties, is she going to get over more?
It's worth a shot, right? I mean, usually everything I've ever seen her on, she's showing her ass all the time. So it's not like she hasn't tried. I think she just decided that was the better asset, no pun intended, to go with. So
there we go, guys.
See what happens.
That, by the way, we got Thunder Rosa on STSPOD.club. I don't have the actual number of the episode. Look for it in our catalog of episodes and archives. She was cooking breakfast while I interviewed her. Yep, that's right. You heard that right. Number 3, shock me. This was June's most shocking moments for the month. Number 1, on the June 4th AEW Collision tapings, it was 2,500 people, and they said it was a sellout. Will Ospreay pin Leo Rush in 9 minutes. And oh my God, we're going to be shocked. Dave Meltzer gave the match 3 stars. What's your thoughts?
Well, I said for a while that they needed to quit running these big arenas. You can call if you go and sell out a 2,500 seated building, then you sold it out. It's not a lie.
Yeah, that's not what's controversy. It's that match. He didn't give it no more than 3 stars.
Well, Leo Rush is not beloved by that crowd necessarily for a variety of reasons.
I couldn't believe it. I was in a total shock. I was just
because it involved
Will Ospreay.
Yeah, because Will Ospreay has never had anything less than a 5-star match in his life, even against Vader.
And here we go. Here we go. Another shock. You know I like to do the hog report, right?
I'm aware.
Is this Jimmy Uso or Jay Uso? This is Jimmy on the left. Jimmy's Johnson. Can you see that? Can you see that, Gene?
Is that what that is?
That is a shock.
Are you sure that's what that is?
That's what that is. If you're not watching the video, you're missing out. Jimmy shocked the wrestling world with a big Johnson. Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy and his Johnson, or something like that.
Well, or Naomi.
Yeah. And the last one was for the shock was the interview, which I did not download. I wasn't going to play Logan Paul again, but he was in total shock because he wasn't told that Ron Killings was going to be interfering in that match. How do you not tell somebody?
It's old school, man. I mean, and Logan Paul, he tweets a lot. He does podcasts. He's
keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, who's to say he might not keep his mouth shut? I don't blame him.
I loved it.
That kind of stuff you tell as few people as possible, and it's not like he was running in attacking him. So why did he need to know?
That's right. That's our wrestlers. What was that? Wrestlers acting badly.
Yes.
No, that was a shock me.
Shock me.
Shocking moments of the match, including that.
Now, maybe this will make Botchamania.
There we go.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to play a real quick clip here, and this is number 3. And I'm not. When I come back from the clip, I'll be able to tell you my thoughts on it. Here we go. It's about a minute.
It feels like 2025 is, in a lot of ways, the best year we've had. I mean, we're having a great.
Well, how big is the biz? How many sales do you bring in? I mean, is it making money? Like, what do you?
Yeah, we're doing fantastic. This was a huge year for us. We grew the business so much with the simulcast.
Gotcha.
We brought in new audience with Max and streaming, but also we've been able to grow our cable audience year over year. Frankly, that cable and satellite and
growth in cable. Who's doing that?
Well, honestly, us, because a lot of people thought when you start simulcasting AEW on Wednesday nights and Saturday nights, oh, okay, well, a lot of people, they're still going to watch the show, but people are going to migrate to streaming. Well, actually, our cable audience, when we started simulcasting, went up, and we have a great audience on Max streaming every week, too. So we have been able to do that, and we've really maintained and grown a great audience over the years. AEW, we say it's where the best wrestle, and I really believe that's true. I think we have the best roster of wrestlers in the world.
All right, number 3, we just watched Tony Khan. Okay, here's my deal with this, Gene, is that a bunch of people made a big deal about, him promoting his promotion and kind of lying. That's what big liar Tony Khan, a lot of people said. The TV audience has increased a little bit this year, but if you go back and look at the numbers from the first 2 years, it's not even close. So did it surprise you that we had a wrestling promoter on live television bullshitting? Did that surprise you?
No, I would have been shocked if he didn't. I don't know. It reminded me of somebody. I don't know. It's like, it's been the greatest year, Brian. AEW. Some people said it's been the greatest year at AEW. Couldn't be any better, Brian. Like, yeah, of course that's what he's going to do. I mean, what else is he going to say? I mean, yeah, is it bullshit? Of course it is. But most of the things that people say to promote wrestling is bullshit. The whole damn sport is predicated on bullshit. I mean, I don't fault him for that. You know, when you start throwing around, you start trying to throw around, you know, bullshit, absolute bullshit numbers. I think that's, if you keep it vague, you know, I think you can get away with that. I think that's kind of where he's gone wrong in some of these press conference, or I'm sorry, what does he call them? Scrums or whatever the fuck he calls them.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I think that's where he's kind of gone wrong in the past. Sometimes he's kind of went too deep in detail, where now it goes from we're hyping up our promotion to we're just full of shit. But I don't hold that against him.
I didn't have any problem with it. A lot of people were saying, well, he's lying. And then, you know, you had Dave defended him, said, well, he's had the greatest year ever. But, you know, money wise, and that's something else. I don't know how we know how much money they're making. No, it's not a public owned company. No one has seen there was a tweet once by somebody that was just made up a number. So those numbers are just crazy. I want to thank the death of AEW on actually X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. That's at AEW FUL Wrestling. Great entertainment for me. With that every day they put something up. But I wanted to thank them because I stole this video off of their Twitter. So let's take a look. This is number 2. AEW keeps fucking up. Let's see what John Moxley did to get a lawsuit.
Oh boy.
The toughest man alive, John Moxley.
Okay. Bryan Danielson. These guys are tough. I think he's got himself a little.
There you go. He pushed the guy. He didn't even bump right. That guy didn't. Gene.
Well, there's a reason for that. Not everybody inside the guardrail is a trained wrestler. Of course, not everybody on the roster is a trained wrestler, but anyway, you know.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, as soon as that happened, don't you know that guy was going right straight to his lawyer?
Yeah, I mean, in Moxley's defense, you assume that people work around wrestling are like, all right, they'll be okay if I push them down. They're not going to fucking sue us. But at the same time, you got to be smarter than that. You know, everybody these days is just looking for a reason, and especially when they know the cons are, you know, loaded and throwing out money. And, you know, back to what we were saying before, like, nobody really knows the financials of AEW, but for, you know, Meltzer and their defenders who are like, oh, they make tons of money. They made $20 million. I don't, like, how? Like, I would just love to know how. Like, you hear these insane numbers, like what they're paying Mercedes Moné and Edge and these different people that come in, you know, just all this money going out. They're not drawing big, you know, houses. I can't imagine they're selling a ton of pay-per-views. Where's this money come from?
They're not doing bad on pay-per-views. I think there hasn't been one pay-per-view that hasn't sold at least 100,000, which is fine. I understand all that, but there was something that came out that it's been kind of swept under the rug. No one's talking about it, where they did an expense report of each show. It was released, and then I haven't seen it again, but they told how much money it would cost you to have, you know, Okada, Monet, Omega, the Bucks. How much money? You got to remember, if they're not on the show, they're still getting paid. That's the way wrestling works now. You know, even regular jobs. If me and Gene didn't show up and we had vacation time, then we're still getting paid. These guys are going to get paid if they're not booked on the show. It doesn't matter if they're injured. We talk about that's a little different, but they're still going to be paid, and it still comes out of the budget. If they would have got the TV deal that they got in the first year, I would say they were making money right now. Right now, I have a hard time, even though it's a big amount, because of all the expenses. Now, you got Khan, whose dad is super rich, and it's not going to really matter. He's probably going to be the most successful money mark ever in wrestling because of the TV contract that he got. What I want to know what happens next is with me. I mean, and we've said, me and you said this, in Facebook Messenger. Hey, we don't hate AEW. We don't want it to end, but man, they do some stupid ass shit.
They do. And, I mean, here we are doing it, so we're as guilty of it as anybody.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's like all anybody can talk about is the financial side of it and the backstage side. Like, what stories are they telling? Like, even the diehard fans, even the fans that have a raging hard on for them that will get on Twitter and go, "Oh, it's going to be the greatest tag team match of our lives. I'm going to jerk off so hard." You still don't see them putting over any big angles or stories or anything that they're hyped up about. They're hyped up for a match because that's what they do. They present matches. They don't build stories to them. They don't have great angles. And when they do have a decent angle every now and again, they have nothing on the other side of it. My favorite example of that is they did the Wardlow angle that had no payoff afterwards. You build him up, and they've done nothing with him since, ever again.
Just crazy.
Weird,
yeah, just nutty.
But I hope they get it together.
I do too. I would love
Tony
to watch
Khan
it.
would be like, "Hey, you know what? What I'm doing is not working. Who are some brilliant minds in wrestling that I could at least confer with? Even if I don't just hand the reins over to them, I could at least sit in a room with, go, guys, what would you do if you did have the book, and at least take some of that into account?"
Unfortunately, and I had someone tell me on this show many times, he's one of us, talking about Tony Khan's one of us because he was a Wrestling Observer reader. Unfortunately, that we have learned from this that great matches and star matches do not, let me repeat, do not equal gates and equal ratings. It does not. Here, I got this one sound clip.
Take your 5-star matches and shove them up your ass. It means dick.
There we go. All right, we got sounds like Duke's coming up. He's fixing to make an appearance here. We got number one up here. I had to have this as number one. It gave me a big WTF because Jonathan Coachman is, for some reason, in the month of June, it reminded me of someone just in his mind, something's happening, and he just starts coming up with a bunch of rumors. The two main ones was that Vince is coming back. He's going to buy the WWE with the help of the Saudis, and he's coming back. Vince McMahon will be back. And Triple H and Dwayne Johnson have so much bad problems that Triple H, within 18 months, is going to be replaced by Dwayne Johnson's buddy. I like to call him The Rock, but everybody else calls him Dwayne. Brian,
I like to call him Flex Cavana.
There you go. Brian, what is that guy's name? Gerwitz or Gerwitz?
Brian Gerwitz.
Yeah, Triple H is going to be... Why would he start rumors like this? None of that makes any sense.
Because why the fuck else would he be number one on your list? And why would anybody on earth talk about Jonathan fucking Coachman if he wasn't online making outlandish fucking claims? That's why. He was trending for a couple of days. Why else would he be?
Yeah, there's no chance that Vince McMahon is going to get back with the WWE. Is there a chance he might start another, AEW type promotion? I don't know. You talk to people and Vince is happy doing what he's doing, but who knows?
Who could he sign? Like, who's not locked up in a contract somewhere that would be of any consequence besides, I can't think of anybody really.
Right. And the whole deal, I think it's all the work anyway. I always think Dwayne Johnson and Triple H are not really, fighting all the time about angles. And And we've talked about it over and over. It seems like a theme tonight, but I don't give a shit. I love The Rock. I love Triple H. I don't care what they're doing backstage. I really don't. I want to see what happens on the TV screen. And I could care less whether it made any sense or not. If The Rock is on my television screen, you're talking about jacking off to Dave Meltzer. Now, fucking Rock's on the screen. That's what you do is jack off.
I bet you loved Young Rock then, didn't you?
I did. That was a good show.
I don't mean the show. I just meant. Anyway.
Oh, no.
No, but we talked about before too about how, WWE has gotten hip to the idea that like, hey, more people are paying attention to the backstage stuff, and they've started implementing that. They've started playing out angles, in the news media and outside, and they've done entire angles that were only recorded with fans' cell phones and shit like that. So this whole narrative of, Triple H and The Rock are at odds, they could be feeding that to these assholes to put that rumor out there just to get people.
I think it's what it's all about. And it's just me. We talked about something on go listen to Retro, but we talked about something that, an angle that's real, it's not real. They blur, because everyone cares, they blur the line more. I remember Lesnar went home one time, and the whole rumor was he went home because Vince wasn't there.
Yeah.
Guys, I would hate to tell y'all this, but Lesnar had a fucking stomach bug and was shitting his brains out. So that's the reason he went home. It had nothing absolutely to do with Vince McMahon. So there you go. Hey, man, we're going to end it right there because that was number one. We're going to go to Patreon, talk a little bit. I'll rattle off a few things, not many tonight. Gene, what I want you to do is I want you to put over all your shit before we get off here.
Oh my goodness. All right. The Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast, as you've mentioned a few times, you can find everything related to it at uswapodcast.com. For all things related to the Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich podcast, it is DougGilbertPodcast.com. You can find everything there related to them, their social media, the podcast, all that good stuff. And I want everybody to check out youtube.com/@retro wrestling archive. There are over 3,000 old videos there, events, TV, matches, podcast, and now we've got even more podcasts, not just the stuff I do. We've got Brian Tramel's. We're starting to put backlog things from STSPOD on there, the Pro Wrestling Time Tunnel with Tony Richards, the WMW podcast with Izzy High and Christopher Pelton. So we're adding new content literally every day. And if you like old wrestling, then you're going to love that channel. Make sure you check it out. We've got more stuff coming very, very soon. And you can check out my Patreon as well.
Right on. I just, we had more, the partnership that we've done here, and we talked about this, me and you did, but we're being able to get repurpose stuff that I never expected. I told you, and you can go on YouTube and look at this, but we had, with the repurposed episodes, we had over 500 in June, 500 new views. We had close to the same number on the plays, and I put it out with no commercials, no anything. But I'm thinking about getting somebody to advertise on them because they're getting a lot of views. So it's really fun, and it's all about, helping each other, being able to work hard for not only and it's the same thing as you can always pick up the phone and say, hey, I need you for the Retro podcast, or hey, here's this. That's just what it's about. It's about working together.
Yeah. And that guys, I'll do anything you want me to do except 5 minutes.
There you go. Anything, your favorite show. When we go to Patreon, hopefully if you're watching the video, you didn't see that one, but there's a good tweet that we're going to read that we just couldn't read it on the main feed there. All right, same bad time, same bad channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there, and as everyone knows this by now. I love my mama.